Okay, and I'm back. So, we have a couple of interesting bits of news. First off, I have an update on the Alec Baldwin shooting story, which should be pretty interesting. And actress Ruby Rose finally opens up about why she left the set of Batwoman. And, let's just say, interesting. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
Okay, so as you may recall, I said that was kind of a big deal at the time. I talked about this, over a year ago when she left. I think it's been over a year, maybe 2 years. And her excuse seemed really bizarre to me. Like, you don't leave your own show for no reasons other than, I don't know, maybe you suck or you think the show sucks or whatever. But it was really abrupt. It was really weird. It was really bizarre. And so it was one of those things where you're like, there's got to be more going on here. And I did promise that when we got more information, I would break it down for you. But before we get into that, let me just give you a quick reminder that any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Super Dario World on YouTube and on Twitch, and at Dario STW. YouTube and on Twitch. I'm trying to do live every day, 10 a.m. Today was a little bit different. Had some computer and internet issues, but fixed. Looks like it's all good. Hopefully that'll continue going well in the future. But yeah, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. That's when I'm aiming to do the live stream if you want to join me in the chat. However, Thursdays probably be like 11:30 because I have a class. So there you go. If you want to join me there, if you want to send me something privately, you can always do that on Instagram at DarioSDW and at Super Dario World. Like, subscribe, follow. That really helps me out. I really appreciate it. But let's get into this story, which I think is pretty interesting. Like I said, I will get into the Alec Baldwin of it all because we have interesting updates and even a minute by minute of what happened on the set. But let's get the Ruby Rose thing out of the way first, because I did promise that I was going to cover that story when we got more information. And Mob Nasty, good morning to you as well. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to it. So, for those of you who don't remember, Ruby Rose is an actress. She's not a particularly good actress, but whatever. And she was the lead of a CW TV show that's part of the Arrowverse, which is, the CW's DC superhero shows, and she was the lead in Batwoman. Now, the show sucks. I've watched a few episodes of it. I couldn't continue. It's really bad. The villain is actually pretty interesting. The girl does a really good job. The show sucks. It's terribly written. It's stupid, and so I just couldn't keep watching. And so when she left the show, I thought it's one of those things where, like, does she know that the show sucks and she doesn't want to be a part of it, or what's the issue here? But she left in a very weird way. I remember her statement being something like she couldn't keep up with the hours or whatever, and I was like, dude, they're never going to hire you to be the lead on a show ever again, because you're leaving because you're lazy. That's basically what the statement says. Now, it's years later, and we're hearing some new information come out. Now, first off, I'm always skeptical when information comes out years later. I don't trust it. I think that if you're going to speak out, you should speak out in the moment, when everything is still verifiable and the information is right there and the people are right there, so you could easily prove anything. So I'm automatically skeptical of this whole situation. However, the one thing that I'll give her in her favor is that usually when people start, speaking out about stuff, their career is in the dumps. It's like they're trying to get a little bit of attention for something. For Ruby, I've checked out her IMDb. It looks like she's still working. It looks like she's still like the main character, the main actress for a few gigs. So it's not like her career is totally in the dumps. I mean, she's not the lead of her own TV show in any way, but she's doing movies. I think she's a movie with Morgan Freeman's about to come out. So she's still working. I don't see it like her career is down in the dumps. So I'll give her that advantage. Now let's kind of like rip everything apart. So, she took to social media to slam the production company, which is always a bad thing to do. And again, it's not a good look when you slam people on social media. So you're not trying to present any sort of evidence in any sort of objective way. You're trying to just tell your story, your side. And again, social media, I don't tend to trust anything on social media, to be honest, especially these types of accusations. So that's a bad start. But she was alleging some incredibly toxic behavior that led to her leaving the series. She took to Instagram where she showed a bunch of videos, but here's the statement that she said. Enough is enough. I'm going to tell the whole world what really happened on that set. I will come for you so what happened to me never happens to another person again, and so I can finally take back my life and the truth. Shame on you. So, that would have been a great statement to say when she left the show. Before somebody else took over the role, and what happened to you would probably happen to her. You know what I'm saying? So, it sounds like a really nice thing to say, like, oh yeah, I'm brave and stuff, and I'm speaking up. But why didn't you have, your replacements back? Because somebody else took that job. It's the exact same job. But you didn't say anything then. So, again, red flag. First off, automatic red flag. Too little, too late there. She talked about she showed a variety of videos where she visited the doctor and she had some injuries to her neck and her ribs. And allegedly, those are from filming the series. And then she complained that with text, she accompanied that with text explaining that she was forced to return to work 10 days after having a surgery in 2019. So, again, it looks like she sustained injuries on set, and allegedly, and then she complained that she had to go back to work in 10 days after surgery. Which, okay, sounds a little bit rough, 10 days after surgery, that's not cool. But anybody who's ever worked on a film set or anything knows that actors tend to have a pretty cushy job. I don't see them putting her in action scenes immediately after surgery, and I'm pretty sure that she had the power. Again, she was the lead of the show. She was the face of the franchise. She could have just been like, hey, get a fucking stunt double. All right? I'm not doing this. I just had surgery. And, then that's when you could have used the power of social media. It's like, hey, look, this fucking director, he's trying to make me I just had surgery 10 days ago because I got injured because of him. And now he wants me to do this, not use a stunt double? Fuck this guy. I mean, you could have easily done that. I'm assuming you had stunt doubles. I'm assuming the CW has the budget for stunt doubles. But anyway, so that's what she says. And to everyone who said I was too stiff on Batwoman, imagine going back to work 10 days after this 10 days. That's when she showed the video of surgery. Or the whole crew and cast. She also said that she was kind of threatened or the whole crew and cast would be fired, and I'd let everyone down because Warner Brothers television executive Peter Roth said he would recast, and I just lost the studio millions by getting injured on his set instead of spending half a day to rewrite me out for a few weeks to heal. So here's where things get kind of kooky and crazy, and that's where I'm like, okay, bullshit arena. So she's saying that if she did not show up to work, everybody would, and she showed up to work because they were threatening her that everybody and their mother would get fired, right? That's the threat. You did quit. You quit afterwards. You did quit, and you didn't care about everybody else getting fired then. So, okay, a little bit of bullshit there, at least I think. Then she's saying that the TV executive Peter Roth threatened to recast her. They did recast you. That was the thing that happened. And that she lost the studio millions by getting injured on his set. There's insurance for this? Again, I know a lot of people don't know this, but most film sets have insurance. They need a lot of insurance. It's in case somebody gets injured. So, let's say your main actor gets injured and you have to stop production for a few weeks. Well, you have insurance to cover the costs of what you would lose. Doesn't make much sense. Also, sue them. If you got injured on their set, sue the fuck out of them. So the court of public opinion, don't tend to trust it. The court of law, if you could have just sued them, sued their pants off. Like, hey, I got injured on your set. You're not even giving me time to heal. Fuck you. Oh, damages. I'm gonna sue you because I could get injured again. So weird. So it's bullshit after bullshit after bullshit that seems kind of shady to me. So that's her statement. But there's also after the news broke, there's a complaint. After Rose released that, Warner Brothers obviously released a full statement themselves, and here is the statement from Warner Brothers, because again, at this point, it's kind of like a he said, she said. But here you go. This is what Warner Brothers is claiming about what Ruby Rose said. Despite the revisionist history that Ruby Rose is now sharing online aimed at the producers, the cast and crew, the network and the studio, The truth is that Warner Brothers Television had decided not to exercise its option to engage Ruby for season 2 of Batwoman based on multiple complaints about workplace behavior that were extensively reviewed and handled privately out of respect for all concerned. So, interesting stuff here. So there's a big claim that's being made by Warner Brothers, and that's that they have complaints, which means that if they had complaints, there should be a paper trail, and they could very easily verify it. So if push comes to shove, I mean, if Ruby Rose actually wants to actually prove her point and prove her innocence or whatever, prove that it was Warner Brothers that's wrong, she should just be like, release the complaints. Let's see them. Also, release the complaints I made. Here's the thing that's really iffy for me. If you are complaining about a toxic work environment and, allegedly unsafe conditions, there should be a complaint. There should be a paper trail. You should have gone to human resources or to whoever and be like, hey, I want to launch a form of complaint before you give up $1 million job or whatever. So there should be a paper trail on both ways, and whoever is and in here, unfortunately here for Ruby, she's the one that's going to have to push it. So it's up to her to be like, all right, fine, release the complaints. If there's a paper trail, prove it. I'll prove mine. I have my evidence. Let's see yours. She's not doing it that way. She's doing it via social media. So, again, I think it sounds really bad. The videos that he showed of surgery and stuff looks really bad. But there's nothing backing it. There's nothing that actually shows that video is from an injury from the set. There's nothing. Nothing. So, again, I'm going to go ahead and claim bullshit on the Ruby Rose thing. And I'm just going to say that I think Warner Brothers, first off, they're going to take it because they have the better lawyers here. But it sounds like they have all the evidence. So, yeah, I'm just going to say bullshit on the whole Ruby Rose thing. Too little, too late. She should have done it in the moment. She should have actually, opened up about her or whatever. But I think she knows that she's in the wrong here. And again, revisionist history. It sounds a lot like revisionist history. So I'm surprisingly on the side of Warner Brothers here. So, next, let's move on to update on the Alec Baldwin situation. So, things are not looking good for Alec here. The DA of New Mexico has said that everything and anything and everything is still on the table, and this investigation is going to take a little bit of a while. But let me just break down basically what the DA of New Mexico said. So this is from, let me see the person's names here, Mary McCormick Altuis. I don't know how you say her name. But she did a statement and she did an interview, and here's basically what we know so far. Everything at this point, including criminal charges, is on the table. There were an enormous amount of bullets on this set, and we need to find out what kinds they were before they can continue with any more investigations. It was a legit gun. It was an antique era appropriate gun. It's probably weeks, if not months, of follow-up investigation that we're going to need to get to the point of charging. 6 to 10 weeks. And we have complex cases all the time, but this kind of complex case with these kinds of prominent people, no. So again, it's iffy territory. She doesn't exactly know what what they're going to charge him with. I think he will get charged. Alec Baldwin is... this is from a lawyer. Alec Baldwin is presumably in charge because he's the producer and has a great voice on the budget here. I guarantee you they're also looking at whether or not people were shaving money or trying to cut costs, and whether this is one of the results of that. So he would not be... Again, this is an expert lawyer. He's saying he would not be shocked if there was an involuntary manslaughter charge brought in his case. So Sir Slayton... sad that they're blaming him. Not really. And let's go through the minute-to-minute breakdown here, because we have a minute-to-minute breakdown of what happened on the set of Rust. So, I'll just read you the article here, according to CNN. So, a sudden shot rang out on set. The crew was filming last Thursday at Bonanza Creek Ranch, a Western movie set outside Santa Fe, New Mexico. In the film, Baldwin plays a grisly outlaw on the run from authorities with his 13-year-old grandson. Mornings typically started with breakfast at 6:30 a.m., but that day they were behind schedule. A 6-person camera crew had recently walked off the job complaining about pay and housing, and a new crew had been brought in. They also walked off because of unsafe, because another gun had been shot on set, and they were complaining that it was an unsafe working condition. So at least that's the article that I read last week. So yeah, let's say this article's missing a little bit of context, but let's continue. But even with the delay, things appear to be going smoothly. Director Joel Sosa told Santa Fe County Sheriff's deputy in an affidavit. Baldwin and crew members began rehearsing a scene in the rustic church, broke for lunch, and then returned to the set. Baldwin, dressed in an Old West clothes, was huddled with Sosa, cinematographer Helena Hutchins, who's the victim, and a few others inside the simple wooden structure. One camera was set up, but because they were just rehearsed, nothing was being filmed or recorded. Assistant director Dave Halls fetched the prop gun from a cart outside the church and yelled "cold gun," indicating it was unloaded. So again, the gun was not even on set. They broke for lunch and they left the gun outside, and then they went to get the gun and brought it in. So again, he yelled out "cold gun," indicating it was unloaded. He then handed it to Baldwin, who sat in a church pew facing the camera and crew. So, all right, sitting here, there's people in front of me, right? Baldwin was demonstrating a cross draw, which is when you pull a gun from the holster on not on the right side. So it's not here, it's here, right? So so here is like a regular draw. Here's a cross draw. That's what he was doing. The scene required him to point the gun toward the camera, which is against the rules, I think. For the way I understand it, you're not supposed to aim it directly at the camera, or there shouldn't be anybody behind the camera the way you do it. What you should do is you should get a wide lens. So let's say you want to shoot this, this is what you care about. So you get a lens that's wide enough so that when you edit it, you can just edit this little area here. But the camera is not standing here. The camera could be like here, to the side, but it's getting all this. So that's how you're supposed to do it. You're not supposed to aim directly at the camera, because again, cameras are expensive and there's usually people behind them, but whatever. So let's say he was aiming it at the camera, which is, again, against the rules. There's rules for having guns on set, and it sounds like they're breaking one of them. So, cross draw, aiming it, and point the gun toward the camera. It was about 1:50 p.m. Sosa told deputies he was viewing the scene through the camera and nearby monitors when he heard what sounded like a whip and then a loud pop. Hutchins stumbled backwards and slumped on the floor, clutching her stomach, saying she couldn't feel her legs. Sosa, who had been standing beside her, noticed the blood on his shoulder. Suddenly there was chaos. The crew members scattered. A medic tried to stop Hutchins' bleeding while others frantically dialed 911. In a 911 call, a woman who described herself as the film's script supervisor told the dispatcher what had happened. 2 people had been accidentally shot on a movie set by a prop gun. It's not a prop gun. It's a real gun that was being used as a prop. There's a difference. Prop guns don't fire. Real guns that are being used as a prop do fire. So, we need help immediately. So the director and the camera woman have been shot. 911 operator asked the blah blah. So there you go. That's what happened, minute to minute. There's something very important here that is not being said in this story. Very, very important. How far away were the director and the director of photography from Alec Baldwin? That's the most important thing that is missing from here. There's context missing, sure. Like again, crew walked off set. Who was the crew? Was it the armorer who left? That's very important. And the armorer was the daughter of a respected armorer, right? Not from my note. She wasn't part of the guild. Like the armorer wasn't part of the prop masters guild. So that's usually a red flag. That usually means that you're not kind of like... Again, they were trying to cheap out on stuff. They were having budget issues. Their crew walked off. They were complaining about housing and pay. They didn't have all the money that they needed, and so they cheaped out on stuff, clearly. So let's go through everything that we know beforehand. So a gun goes off on set days before, twice, with real bullets from this according to a stuntman, and this led the crew to leave, because add that to unsafe working conditions plus bad pay and bad housing, crew's out of there. So you lose a lot of people. And again, you already had an accident on set. Well, nobody got hurt, but, people don't like guns being shot on set. Then, the day of, you have the armorer and the assistant director check the gun and then leave it. They left it outside. They claimed it was a cold gun, but they left it outside. They broke for lunch. They come back. They don't check the gun again. They give it to the actor. And then the actor accidentally shoots somebody. But again, this is the most important part that is missing from this context, from this whole story. How far was she standing from him? Because according to everything we've heard of this story, the gun had blanks on it, right? Blanks. For those of you who don't know, a blank is a bullet that doesn't have a projectile. So a gun has like 3 parts to it. So you have the projectile, which is the thing that fires. You have the casing. Inside the casing, you have the powder. And you have the ignition. So it's 4 parts, actually. So the ignition is the thing that causes the initial spark. The casing contains all the powder. The powder is the thing that explodes after the ignition. And the bullet is the thing that flies out. The projectile is the thing that flies out and kills somebody, right? Or hurts something or whatever, just shoots out. So blanks have the same thing as a regular bullet, except the bullet part. But it's still an explosion. So if you shoot a blank at somebody, you could still hurt them a lot. Like a few meters away, let's say a few feet away, if I aim a gun, if I aimed a blank at my camera right now, it would fuck up my camera. It would at least break the lens easily, and it would probably send it flying. Because again, it's explosion, and it's a directed explosion. So how far was what director of photography standing from Alec Baldwin? Because Alec Baldwin broke a lot of rules here. First off, he did not check the gun when it was given to him. It's a very easy thing to check a revolver. You open it up, you check the barrel, you check the bullets to make sure they're not fucking real, and then you close it back up. That's what a professional would do. Alec Baldwin is not a rookie. He's supposedly a professional. He's supposedly done this before. So, he did not check it, which is bad. Second, rule number 1 with guns. Rule number 1. So it's the second thing. Rule number 1 with guns. A gun is always loaded, even if it's not loaded. That's how you treat a gun. You never aim it at somebody. You should always treat a gun with respect. So, he actually grabbed the gun, aimed it at somebody, which is a big no-no. A big no-no. You should never aim a gun at anybody, even if it's not loaded. In this case, it had blanks. And as I stated already, blanks can really hurt you. So not only did he aim a gun, which has an explosive in it, he aimed it at somebody and pulled the trigger. So, how far was the director of photography from him? Like, how far? I'm guessing, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that she was at least a few feet away, because bullets do more damage the further away you are from the gun. So, if I shoot you, like, in close blank range, you're more likely to survive than if I shoot you a few feet away. I learned this because my grandpa got shot in the head when he was younger. Like, literally here. And he survived. And you're like, how the hell did he survive? He got shot in the head at point blank range. And they're like, apparently it's more dangerous the further away you are. I guess it builds momentum or something. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm guessing she was at least a little bit far away. Otherwise, he's aiming and shooting a blank at somebody. That if she was a few feet away, that really would have hurt her. Really would have hurt her. Not killed her, but really would have hurt her. Now, a blank could kill you. Have you ever seen the movie In Bruges? They do that. Like, they shoot a blank at somebody's eye, and the dude loses the eye. Because it's an explosion. Again, so really, really bad stuff. So, it's not murder. I don't think it's murder unless they figure out, because there's rumors going around that, they were having an affair or whatever. I don't believe any of that stuff until they prove it, and it should be something that's relatively easy to prove. At this day and age, there's text messages, there's calls, there's whatever. So, that should be easy to prove. But here's the thing. When we're talking about negligence here, Alec Baldwin hired all these people. Alec Baldwin should have heard about all the about why the people walked off set. He should have known about the other gun being shot off twice. He should have checked his gun. He should have hired somebody who would keep a closer eye on the guns. He should have hired people who would have kept who would have checked the gun for him again. He should have done a lot of things as a producer. As an actor, he shouldn't have aimed it at anybody. He shouldn't have pulled the trigger while he was aiming at anybody. There's a lot of things that were wrong here that he did. And to me, the equivalent of this is Imagine you're driving, you're tired, so you're not paying 100% attention. You can still drive, but you're not paying 100% attention, and somebody jaywalks in front of you and you run them over. It's kind of that. It's like involuntary manslaughter. So I think that's the direction this is going to go. Because, I mean, you were still driving the car. If you would have paid attention, if you would have followed the rules and stuff, you maybe could have avoided it. But no, you were driving, you were a little tired, you were a little bit faster maybe than you should have gone, and somebody fucked up, and you ended up running them over. I think this is where it's going to go. I don't really see him walking away from this one. They're just, as a producer, he's fucked. I don't see the insurance company covering all. He's gonna get sued into oblivion probably. I don't see the insurance company covering this because the insurance company's gonna be like, we have rules for this. Did you follow the rules? No, then you're fucked. We're not covering you because you're not following the rules for safety. And criminally, I think it's not looking good. It's not looking good for him, at least based off of every single thing that I've read here. I don't think it's going to look good for Mr. Alec Baldwin. But again, supposedly, according to the DA, and it sounds like the DA is kind of out for blood. It sounds like they're like, we are going to, them immediately not saying that it's not off the table, maybe could be placating both sides or whatever. But, I don't know. Based on the statements that I've read, and from what I've read from experts and stuff, because I'm not an expert, I've just basically been doing a whole bunch of research. It does not look good. It does not look good. So there you go. That's a good place to stop, I think. I don't think there's much to add until we actually get more information about that. Let me, Sir Slayton. Yeah, I think he went non-union at one point on this. What the fuck? True. Yeah. I've talked about this before. There's an expression in Spanish. Lo barato sale caro, which means the cheap stuff ends up being more expensive. And in this case, it was extremely more expensive. So, sucks for him. Sucks for his family. Sucks for the lady who got killed. It could have been avoidable, I guess, in many ways. I don't know. You never know with these types of things. But it's not looking good. That's the final point that I want to make here. And I'm sorry, I have to take those off because it kills me. I don't know why. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Super Dario World on YouTube and on Twitch. You can just join me live on the live stream, on the chat. I'll answer your questions that you have for me, or comments and stuff. Sometimes we just clown around. Feel happy to join. Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. That's when I usually aim to do it, except Thursdays. Thursdays, it's probably going to be closer to 11:30 Pacific. If you want to send me something privately, you can always do that on Instagram at DarioSDW and at Super Dario World. Sir Slayton, get gel-infused ear cups. It's not that. It's a system thing. The headphones are fine. It's something with the computer when I try to separate the audios. I don't know why. I just need to get a different mixer. But that's it. That's it for today. As always, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again next time.